Most of our favorite fairy tales happened centuries ago in a land far, far away. But what if our favorite Disney characters were born in our world and lived their adventure in the 21st century? Their stories would have been really different as artists Hong and Tom Ward reimagined them. Just wait until you see what would keep the children from visiting Neverland in Peter Pan. If this is your first time visiting our channel, don't forget to subscribe and please give this video a big thumbs up. Today we are showing you 10 Disney movies reimagined in the modern day. Beauty and the Beast. Belle was known as the most beautiful woman in her village, but what if she had access to pictures of people outside of her little town? The bookworm would start reading magazines and realize that there is a lot of competition out there. Even though being unique is what makes everyone beautiful, we live in a world where beauty is a market. Society picks out all our flaws and makes us believe that we need their products to correct them. This is why Common Sense Media reported that children as young as 5 years old are not satisfied with their bodies. And the beauty industry keeps lying to us, so we buy more and more makeup and cosmetics. This would have a huge impact on Belle's confidence. And as artist Hong reimagined her, she would think about getting plastic surgery. Even though there is nothing wrong with this alternative, we hope that the princess is doing it for the right reasons. At least someone else is happy to live in the 21st century, and it's Gaston's friend, Le Fou. Homosexuality is accepted by the majority in France, and same-sex marriage has been legalized since 2013. Now he can proudly be part of the LGBT community, as Tom Ward reimagined him. We don't think that it will make Gaston come out of the closet, but at least he will be there to support him, as any friend would. The Little Mermaid. Ariel wanted to leave the sea to live on the land, and we think that she now wants this more than ever. This is not because she wants to meet Prince Eric. We don't think that the Little Mermaid will want to be part of his world or see humans ever again. Now that she saw what they did to her home, people threw trash everywhere under the sea. And with now more than 200 plastic forks to collect, she doesn't think that finding little treasures is a fun game anymore. Actually, it has been reported by National Geographic that there are 5.25 trillion pieces of plastic debris in the ocean. It is really difficult for sea creatures to live out there. And as you can see in this picture from Tom Ward, Ariel has been affected too. She is now a mutant with 2 tails. And she doesn't seem to be happy to be one step further from having legs. If you look at the ocean and see that it is getting darker, it is not because Ursula the octopus was upset and used ink as a defense mechanism. Humans just spilled oil in the water once again. As you can see in this picture from Hong, Ariel just wants to leave her world for a better reason now. If you think this is shocking, that's because Hong wants you to react and hopes that you'll stop throwing trash in the water now that you can see what happened to this Disney princess. Pinocchio. This puppet is known for having a short nose that becomes longer when he lies. And now that he has access to social media, we think he will be lying more than ever. Time reported that studies proved that social media is associated with psychological distress, and Instagram is the worst network for mental health and well-being. As social media is associated with self-expression, community building, and emotional support, you might be wondering what could be wrong with it. And actually, the problem is that the lives of our friends and our favorite celebrities look so good that we feel like we are missing out. It sets unrealistic expectations and makes us feel like we are not good enough, which has an impact on our self-esteem. This is why researchers reported that the more young adults use social networks, the more likely they are to report depression and anxiety. But the truth is, the lives of other people are not as beautiful as you think they are. They can use Photoshop, different techniques to make them look better, or simply pretend that they are having fun, but only smiling for the photo. And Pinocchio, reimagined by Tom Ward, perfectly represents that most pictures from famous Instagrammers are actually a lie. But don't worry, you can stay on YouTube to watch this video. It was the only network in the study that received a positive score from the participants. The Princess and the Frog. The story of Tiana was set in 1912 in New Orleans. This time we'll move just a few decades later to when a woman named Rosa Parks changed history. In the 1950s, in the city of Montgomery, Alabama, people of color had to sit at the back of the bus and leave the front seats to white passengers. As you can see in this picture from Hong, Tiana also had to wait in the colored waiting room to take the bus. This young Disney princess probably didn't want to get in trouble, so she followed the rule. After all, she can't afford to pay a fine if she wants to save money to buy a restaurant. But in 1955, everything changed when Rosa Parks decided to say no. Just like Tiana, Parks had been working all day and her feet hurt. So when a white man asked for her seat on a bus, she didn't want to stand up. The bus was stopped and Rosa Parks was arrested and fined $14. Since that day, black leaders called for the boycott of the city's buses, and the protest lasted for more than a year. The voice of people of color was finally heard simply because a woman dared to say no. We think that Rosa Parks deserves the title of Disney Princess because we would love to see a movie about her. Aladdin. The thief was ready to do anything for the love of the beautiful princess, but we don't think that this prince would be really charming if he lived in some Arab countries in 2017. As we have seen in the movie, the Sultan really wanted his daughter to find a husband for her 16th birthday. We understand why Jasmine was not interested in that because most of the time, marriage is not a love story at all in these countries. And there are still many things that women don't have the right to do nowadays. Let's take Saudi Arabia, for example. In this country, women cannot go outside uncovered. We can only see their eyes and their hands. And if they don't respect this rule, they'll be in serious trouble. So Jasmine would never have the right to go outside with this outfit. Moreover, they always have to be accompanied by a male family member when they are in public and don't have the right to meet strangers on the street. As if this wasn't enough, they also can't drive or open a bank account. Even though things are getting a little better in Saudi Arabia, it is not easy to be a woman. As we can see in this picture from Tom Ward, Jasmine doesn't seem to be happy to be a housewife. We really prefer the original story. Cinderella. We think that dating would be much easier nowadays, but having so many choices and opportunities is also what makes things more complicated. This time, Prince Charming didn't have to organize a ball to meet the love of his life, he just had to use Tinder. Even though she is usually wearing an old t-shirt and sweatpants, Cinderella made herself pretty for the picture on the profile. The prince quickly used his best pickup lines, and the two decided to meet each other. Unfortunately, when they met, she realized that he wasn't so charming after all in real life. He was always on his phone. Just like many people in 2017, he seems to suffer from nomophobia, the fear of being separated from his phone. In the US, 66% of all adults suffer from nomophobia. 2 in 3 people sleep with their cell phones, and 1 in 5 would rather go out without shoes than go out without their cell phones. As we can see in this picture from Tom Ward, Cinderella is not happy to see that Prince Charming is so addicted. Now we understand why he didn't remember her face the next morning. He barely looked at her, but at least she is not as miserable as Hong reimagined her. This time, the poor girl is alone in a dark alley at night, and we just hope that she'll meet someone who is a little bit charming to let her get out of there. Pocahontas. In the original movie, Europeans just came to America to take away the land of Native Americans, and centuries later they have to turn to casinos and gaming to survive. As you can see in this illustration from Hong, Pocahontas and Kocoum don't feel comfortable in this new environment. They never thought that they would ever end up in this place. And don't think that this is making them rich. According to Native Americans' Rights Fund, not all tribes are better off than they were 20 years ago. Some tribes were glad that the casinos reduced unemployment and used the money to finance health and child care services, educational programs, their culture, and much more. Anyway, if they used all the money from gaming and divided it equally among all the adult Indians in the country, their income wouldn't even be near the national average, and more than half of the tribes don't even have access to these opportunities because they live too far from the population. Even if some casinos make a lot of money, they're not sharing it with the rest of the Native American population. As reported by ABC, 2/3 of them are still poor, and the unemployment is still way too high. The Native American story is not the fairy tale that you usually see in the Disney movies. Bambi. If you saw the Disney movie, you probably remember the tragic scene when the hunter shot Bambi's mother. She warned him that the forest was a dangerous place to be, And this time, Hong imagined that the future great prince of the forest suffered the same fate. His head is now hanging on the wall in a beautiful room. People used to hunt to survive, but PETA now describes sports hunting as cruel and unnecessary. Only fewer than 5% of the American population hunt, but they are still allowed in many wildlife refuges, national forests, and state parks. PETA thinks that just as many of them are hunted illegally. Many of these animals suffer when they are injured but not caught by hunters. That's about half of the deer and 3 million ducks every year. Even if the animal is not harmed, it can suffer from stress, and it has an impact on its habits. So if the hunters are doing it for food, they are absolutely not doing it right. Hunting is not effective, so the main reason why they are doing this is probably just to have fun, feel powerful, and be proud. Is it really worth it? They are all responsible for the tragic scene in the movie. No one can be proud of shooting Bambi's mother. Peter Pan. In the movie, Peter Pan visited 3 young children and gave them the chance to visit a wonderful place, Neverland. This was when they decided to fly away from home to meet dangerous pirates and funny fairies. Unfortunately, the boy who wouldn't grow up probably won't be able to enter the home that Tom Ward reimagined. As you can see, the camera immediately saw him, and the children will never have the chance to fly away without being noticed. We think that the problem might be that in 2017, the parents are too overprotective. They see dangers everywhere and keep children from making the mistakes that would teach them many lessons. You might think that these parents are just doing their jobs by making their children safe, but they could actually be hurting them. As reported by a University of California study, children need to live acute stress. It's a short burst of stress that often happens when they play sports, video games, or other types of competitions and contests. Those who don't have the chance to live these experiences could develop serious social problems as adults. They completely freeze in stressful situations. So the next time a young boy knocks at your window and wants to take away the children, let them go with him. An adventure is what they need to be healthy. Mulan. In the movie, we loved to discover the beauty of China, and we clearly understood why Mulan cared so much for her country. Even though she doesn't fit in, we would have loved to live in this place. However, nowadays, there is something else that she would have to face to keep her country safe, and it is air pollution. The situation became so bad in China that if you look up, you can't even see the sky. And it is not only not fun to look at, it is also dangerous. In this country, air pollution is fatal for more than 1 million people every year, as reported by National Geographic. Most of it is caused by coal-fired electricity. And this is why the country decided to reduce the production by investing in wind and solar power. Their goal is to make their sky blue again, but it could still take years. As you can see in this illustration from Hong, Mulan can't even breathe the fresh air when she goes outside of her home because of the pollution. With an unhealthy environment, it would be even more difficult to become a soldier, and her story could be really different. Do you think that any of these Disney characters should be part of a new story in 2017? Don't be shy to tell us what you think in the comments section down below. We love to hear from you. And that's it for 10 Disney movies reimagined in the modern day. For more stories like this, make sure you watch 10 Disney Princess connections that will make your jaw drop. Thanks for watching!